Good morning, it's Monday the 3rd of February. The plan for today is to set out and position the blocks that are now all prepared with the holes. There are some holes which are a bit not quite aligned and getting in the way of the threaded rods, so I'll be putting them into position on the stools and trying to build them up in place as a bit of a trial run before the final fixing. Now, what I'm a bit concerned about is how to get things plumb versus the jambs here. Now, I think it's probably a lot more straightforward, given I've got the stools here that I can reference, and I've got a jig for this side now. So if I'm just plumb, going off from within these points, then against the jambs it should be the 560. I've got my spirit level, which I'll just use for that. I haven't got a laser. Might use a string, but I don't need a string really, do I? I can just go off the front face here, which I know is completely aligned with that. Make sure it's going plumb and plumb within the area of the stools there. I'll probably fill that in a little bit more before I do final fixing. It's gone right in. Finally, also we've got to the final bits of bricks that were from the removal of a rear chimney. So every week during our tip run we'll just take a few buckets to get rid of them that way. Apparently we can for the local tip, we can go to the tip once a week with up to 100 litres of kind of rubble waste. So that's about 75 bricks. Here we've probably got in each bucket there's 10, so 40 bricks, and then we usually take some of the waste as well. Yeah, but recently they said, we can only take it once a month, 100 litres a month, which I know isn't their limits, so I just have to point them to their own notice board. Previously there was a charge on such things, it's something like £3 for, say, each 25 litres, which is a nice revenue earner for them, given none of this should be going to landfill, should be recycled. So there's no impact from the landfill tax there. The marginal cost of chucking them in their recycling bays isn't anything that they're going to notice. If anything, we should be encouraging it to, rather than making all these trips, they can get all the materials in one go and they can recycle them and sell them on, can't they? But they do have weird thinking way of doing things, don't they, in the local councils. They do act in their own way. And we've got a few there. So that will be all the materials from the rear chimney then taken care of. And then what we do have left is some rubble from the removal of concrete and so forth during the excavation of the front here. Again, none of that should be going to landfill, it should be all recycled aggregates. There were a few holes I needed to just enlarge here, just to give me some flexibility to adjust things, so that's more or less okay. I've got flexibility to make it all plumb and level. I'm keeping the face sides because this one's going here, and this side here and that side there is kind of a more visible face. So I'm keeping these as like the original straight edges, if I can, of the blockwork, and the cut edges are tending to be more on this side, for example like there, and there, and also I'm putting any issues like that on this side. There's one there on the face. Now it's all going to be beaded anyway, so once this is installed it's going to be rendered, so all these corners will have external corners will have a beading, render beading on the angles, so maybe when it's all finished you won't even notice, but it's just the way I'm doing it. I'm working out how I can ensure they're square and plumb when I'm installing them. So this kind of brace, kind of a measurement there really there, and some shims on the end allow me to keep that in place while I'm moving the rest of it. That's quite helpful. I'm finding it's quite accurate. At the bottom it's 56, and then it's important to keep this plumb, and by the time it's plumb up to there it's basically 56.1, so it's pretty accurate like that. It's a shame I can't just install it now. So I think that's kind of got that plumb, but I'm not sure how it looks from the front, and not sure how that is, see there. But yeah, I'm just working out the method of final fixing, see if there's any other issues. One thing is the rod isn't going into the hole there, which is probably just because it's just too tight, and now we're going to enlarge those holes a bit. I've just gone through this exercise of plumb and level, so it's as good as I'm getting at the moment. So what I'm finding is we need to do a little bit of trimming in that hole there. I have to make that hole bigger, and the brace thing with the little shims is helping. I was getting a bit confused here because if I took the face square off here with a level, it kind of was out here somewhere. I think that's slightly because it's just, this is a millimetre forward that way, and that's in a bit, just that slight thing, and that distance makes the level somewhat a lot more over there. So I'm working out kind of what's important in terms of references, and I think just going off the stool is probably more important than relying too much on that, because it's just throwing me off. If I'm concentrating on being aligned with the stool and then plumb over above here, it will get me to where I need to be. The little shims are helping as well, and it seems to all make sense when it's together. Like this is slightly off, I can move that. Let's have a little look. So I could do with a bit more. Look that way. Which that's the effect at the bottom. So it could do with moving a little bit that way, and it's only a little bit I need to move it that way, and then because I'm moving it that way, I'm finding it's helping a little bit with the misalignment here, but it's all like millimetre stuff. It's annoying. Sometimes I find when I correct one thing, it actually solves everything else. Sometimes, so at least that's good. Just got one more. So this afternoon, we'll do my drills, drill them bigger, I'll remove this, take it down, drill a bigger hole in that one, and then drill there, and then repeat the exercise for the other blocks over here. I only got 2 of these rods at the moment, so I'll have to get those. And then in terms of like actually installing it, then to get this onto there, I lifted the entire thing and then put it in place. But to install it, I've got my canopy I want to keep, so I'll be able to put little holes for the rods to go through the canopy, and then when I put them in, set them in place, make sure I'm happy, and I can install the rods. Well, if I install the rods, then I need to put the blocks over there, so that's not good. So I'm wondering if I can do something like don't know, I have to think about that. I don't want to take that down, it's such a faff. The easiest way to remove it would be untie it there, take it off the front. Yeah, easier to remove the front bit of the canopy, and then I've got the access I need. The other way is keeping the canopy on, putting the blocks in place, and then putting the no, wouldn't work, because I'm gonna grout as I go up, you see. I don't think pouring grout from the top would ensure it's going to go all the way down. So yeah, some thinking to do. Some final marking out, sides, and then hole for where I just want the holes to be slightly wider, hole wider in that direction, so that I can move that one more easily that way. That's what that notation is meaning for me. So for this mullion, I can't quite see, well, the rod isn't actually into the hole. I can't quite see how far off it is, so I'm going to just lift the mullion and see if I can see where the position is. Maybe you've shown me. So, putting it together, it's a bit tighter. I probably need to widen the holes for some of the mullions. That one, the rod hadn't actually gone into the thing, so I just jiggled it around a bit and pushed it down from the top. But yeah, I'll put the measurements on the rod, so I know for sure they've definitely gone into the holes. And yeah, it's a bit more tighter together. There's not much wiggle room, so I'll just drill the holes a little bit deeper, wider, sorry, so I can have the flexibility for the adjustment. I should check my measurements and do the plumb and level. It's already quite plumb and level. There's a few bits which are out. This is coming out a bit too much that way. But that alignment there is plumb, so if I widen the hole on this side, you allow this to move that side, and then that kind of helps with the issue here where it's just too much on this side. So if I give more flexibility in the hole here, if that's right. Then it will, yeah, that's right, then I can move that there. The only other bit here I've marked here, hopefully I'll remember, HF, hole front, so here, hole's not allowing me to move this back, so if I have the hole widen that side, I can move this forward there, and this basically can just be brought together without doing anything, and yeah, it's just more precise. This one, it's not all over the place, and it already seems plumb and level. Window opening is plumb, and yeah, these little buttons I got, 650, that one's marked there, it's 1.5mm less, so that's mainly because of this side. This is completely plumb, whereas that tended to follow the wall mostly, but it was still quite close to 90 degrees. But yeah, it's out by 1.5mm, so yeah, that's pretty good.